Chapter 1. Shadows of the Past. Ethan sat alone in his room, surrounded by the suffocating silence that echoed through the walls. The remnants of his shattered innocence clung to him like a dark cloud, a constant reminder of the harrowing incident that had scarred his childhood. The absence of love was palpable, leaving his heart barren and his soul yearning for warmth. In the depths of despair, Ethan's mind replayed the scene, etching the torment deep into his memory. The harsh words, the clenched fists, and the piercing silence consumed him, fracturing his perception of the world. Every corner of his young existence seemed cloaked in shadows, casting doubt and mistrust upon anything resembling affection. Days turned into nights, and nights blurred into an indistinguishable haze. Ethan's shattered mind grasped at fragments of understanding, desperately seeking solace amidst the chaos. The incident had become a haunting specter, defining his every interaction and shaping his fractured ability to connect with others. Every glance, every touch, sent waves of apprehension rippling through his fragile being. Trust became a luxury Ethan couldn't afford, a currency depleted by the wounds inflicted upon his innocence. His heart, once open and receptive, had become a fortress, guarded against the pain that had seeped into his soul. But amid the desolation, a flicker of resilience emerged. Ethan yearned for more than the darkness that consumed him. Buried deep within his broken mind, a tiny flame ignited, a glimmer of hope, a longing for something different, something better. As the days turned into weeks, Ethan embarked on a journey of self-discovery. With each step, he confronted his past, facing the demons that lurked within. In the shadows of his brokenness, he found strength. He learned to embrace his scars, transforming them into the foundation upon which he could rebuild his shattered world. Little by little, Ethan pieced together the fragments of his existence, learning to trust himself before trusting others. And as he did, the walls of his fortress began to crumble. A ray of light pierced the darkness, illuminating a path towards healing and connection. In the desolate landscape of Ethan's childhood, isolation was a relentless companion, wrapping its icy tendrils around his fragile heart. The environment in which he grew up was devoid of nurturing relationships, leaving him adrift in a sea of indifference. Genuine emotional connections were as elusive as a distant mirage, intensifying his profound sense of loneliness. Ethan wandered through the barren corridors of his existence, longing for companionship that seemed forever out of reach. His yearning for love and acceptance echoed in the empty rooms, bouncing off the walls and reverberating through his soul. But the silence swallowed his pleas, leaving him drowning in a sea of unworthiness. Days turned into years, and each passing moment seemed to deepen Ethan's isolation. The world outside moved at a frenetic pace, bustling with laughter and joy, but he remained an outsider, locked away from the warmth of human connection. His heart longed to be seen, to be heard, to be embraced. But the barriers surrounding him felt insurmountable. The absence of love had etched its mark upon Ethan's spirit, chiseling away at his self-worth. Doubts gnawed at his consciousness like relentless whispers, convincing him that he was unworthy of companionship and destined to traverse the winding path of life alone. How could he envision a future with love when the past had shown him nothing but indifference? But amidst the suffocating grip of isolation, glimmers of hope emerged. Ethan's spirit refused to surrender entirely to despair. In the depths of his solitude, he began to nurture a flickering ember of self-love. He realized that his worth was not defined by the absence of love, but by the inherent beauty of his being. With each passing day, Ethan took small steps towards self-acceptance, embracing the uniqueness of his journey. He discovered solace in books, art, and the solace of nature, finding companionship in the stories that whispered through the pages and the beauty that unfolded in brushstrokes and melodies. Through his isolation, Ethan learned to cultivate his inner strength and resilience. He discovered that the capacity for love and connection resided within him, waiting to be awakened. And as he began to cherish himself, he opened the door to the possibility of companionship, inching closer to the belief that a future filled with love was within his grasp. Chapter 3. Flickering Flames. Amidst the bleakness that surrounded Ethan, a flicker of hope appeared, casting a gentle glow upon his darkened world. It arrived in the form of a person, a stranger whose kindness pierced through the armor he had built around himself. This unexpected beacon of light began to challenge Ethan's perception of the world, stirring a flicker of resilience within him and raising questions about the possibility of healing and finding genuine connections. Ethan, accustomed to the solitude of his existence, was initially wary of this stranger's kindness. He had grown accustomed to the jagged edges of the world, finding solace in his self-imposed isolation. But something about this person's sincerity and compassion tugged at the tightly wound strings of his heart. Through simple acts of empathy and understanding, the stranger chipped away at Ethan's barriers. They listened without judgment, offering a safe space for his story to unfold. Their presence, like a balm on his wounded soul, ignited a spark of trust within him, a glimmer of hope that had long been dormant. Conversations flowed freely, illuminating hidden corners of Ethan's being that had long been shrouded in darkness. As the stranger shared their own experiences of pain and resilience, Ethan realized that he was not alone in his struggles. Their vulnerability became a bridge, connecting their wounded hearts in a way he had never thought possible. In the presence of this newfound connection, Ethan's perceptions began to shift. The world, once seen as a desolate wasteland, revealed glimpses of beauty and compassion. He questioned the beliefs that had anchored him in despair, daring to entertain the possibility that healing and genuine connections were within his reach. With each encounter, the stranger nurtured the flickering flame of resilience within Ethan. They encouraged him to embrace his scars, to recognize the strength that lay hidden beneath his brokenness. Through their unwavering support, they helped him challenge the narratives that had defined his existence, empowering him to envision a different future. A future filled with authentic relationships and a renewed sense of purpose. Chapter 4. A Masked Smile. Ethan, like a master illusionist, donned a mask, a smile that hid the pain etched upon his soul. Behind this facade of normalcy, he fought a daily battle with his inner demons, struggling to maintain composure amidst the relentless waves of turmoil. Yet the toll it took on his mental and emotional well-being was profound, further reinforcing his belief that genuine love and acceptance were forever beyond his reach. In the presence of others, Ethan perfected the art of pretense. His laughter echoed through the air, carefully orchestrated to match the social symphony around him. He spoke in measured tones, crafting the illusion of a well-adjusted individual. But behind closed doors his heart wept silently, yearning for someone to see through the charade. The weight of his hidden pain grew heavier with each passing day, threatening to crush the fragile remnants of his spirit. He became a master of disguise, adept at concealing the cracks that threatened to shatter his carefully constructed facade. But in doing so, he forfeited the opportunity for genuine connection, believing that his true self would be met with rejection and disdain. The struggle to maintain this masquerade exacted a toll on Ethan's mental and emotional well-being. Behind closed doors, he unraveled, consumed by the unrelenting torment of his past. The wounds, carefully bandaged beneath his smile, festered in the darkness of his solitude. Loneliness settled like a heavy fog, suffocating his hope for true acceptance. As the burden of pretense grew heavier, Ethan's self-worth spiraled further downward. He questioned his ability to ever be seen for who he truly was, doubting whether he deserved the love and acceptance he craved. The barriers he had erected around his heart seemed insurmountable, as if they had become a part of his very being. Yet amidst the struggle, glimmers of truth began to emerge. Ethan recognized the toll that his masked smile had taken on his well-being. He realized that the path to healing required the courage to peel back the layers of pretense and reveal his vulnerable self. It was a daunting journey, one that would demand vulnerability and risk, but he knew it was necessary for his own growth and the possibility of genuine connection. In the depths of his turmoil, Ethan found solace in small moments of authenticity. He began to confide in trusted friends, sharing fragments of his story and witnessing the power of empathy and understanding. Slowly, he started to remove the mask, revealing the scars and shadows that had long haunted him. Chapter 5. Shadows of the Past. In the midst of Ethan's solitary journey, unexpected allies emerged like beacons of light, illuminating his path with empathy, compassion, and understanding. These individuals, seemingly appearing out of nowhere, began to chip away at the walls of self-isolation he had meticulously constructed. Through their presence, they provided glimpses of what it truly meant to be seen, valued, and loved. The first ally arrived as a whisper in the wind, a stranger whose kind eyes held a depth of understanding. Their words carried weight, and their actions spoke volumes. With patient gestures of kindness, they created a space where Ethan could lower his defenses, allowing his vulnerability to surface. In their presence he felt heard and understood, as if his pain had finally found a compassionate witness. Another ally came in the form of a childhood friend, someone who had shared the same harrowing experiences. Through their shared history, they forged a bond forged in the fires of adversity. Together they traversed the labyrinth of their past, unraveling memories and holding space for each other's pain. Their connection served as a reminder that scars could heal, and genuine connections were attainable even in the face of immense adversity. As Ethan's unexpected allies multiplied, their collective presence began to dismantle the fortress of self-isolation that had imprisoned his spirit. They offered a genuine embrace of his authentic self, casting aside judgments and expectations. In their presence, he discovered a newfound sense of belonging, a community forged in empathy and shared experiences. With each interaction, Ethan's belief in the possibility of love and acceptance was rekindled. The allies, like fragments of a mosaic, painted a picture of compassion and understanding. They mirrored his pain, offered solace in their shared vulnerabilities, and reminded him that his story was worthy of being heard. Through these unexpected allies, Ethan began to glimpse the transformative power of genuine connection. They shattered the illusion that he was unworthy of love, highlighting the beauty and resilience that had always resided within him. Their presence nourished his spirit, allowing seeds of self-acceptance and hope to take root and flourish. Chapter 6. Shadows of the Past. Ethan embarked on a courageous journey of self-discovery, delving deep into the recesses of his being to unearth the tangled roots of his childhood trauma. With each step, he encountered memories long buried, emotions suppressed, and pain left unspoken. The path he traversed was strewn with obstacles, but through it all he discovered the transformative power of confronting his past. As Ethan confronted the fragments of his memories, they unfurled like weathered pages of a forgotten diary. The sights, sounds, and sensations of his childhood trauma washed over him, threatening to drown him in a sea of reawakened pain. But he pressed on, determined to face the demons that had haunted his existence. Each memory carried with it a lesson, a piece of the puzzle he had long avoided. He allowed himself to feel the rawness of his emotions, no longer suppressing the anguish that had simmered beneath the surface. The tears that streamed down his face became tributaries of healing, washing away the debris of his past. The challenges were immense. Fear gnawed at his resolve, urging him to retreat to the safety of denial. But Ethan was resolute, driven by the desire to unearth the truth that had shaped his existence. He sought guidance from therapists, support groups, and trusted confidants who offered tools to navigate the labyrinth of his past. Through this journey of self-discovery, Ethan's perception of self began to shift. He realized that the brokenness he had carried for so long did not define him. He unearthed his resilience, his capacity to heal, and the innate worthiness that had always resided within. With each memory processed, he reclaimed pieces of himself that had long been lost. As the painful layers peeled away, Ethan began to envision a future no longer clouded by the shadows of his past. He recognized that he had the power to forge a different path, one built upon self-acceptance, resilience, and the lessons learned from his journey. The possibilities for connection, love, and a meaningful life began to shimmer on the horizon. Chapter 7. Shadows of the Past. For Ethan, trust had become a fragile and elusive creature, skittish and hesitant to emerge from the shadows of his past. As he attempted to form healthy relationships, he confronted internal battles riddled with fear, doubt, and the ingrained belief that love was transient or deceptive. The fragility of his newfound connections weighed heavily on his heart, casting shadows of uncertainty over his every interaction. With each step toward vulnerability, Ethan's pulse quickened, a symphony of doubts crescendoing within him. Fear whispered insidious narratives, convincing him that betrayal lurked around every corner, waiting to shatter the fragile trust he had begun to build. Doubt tugged at the edges of his consciousness, tempting him to retreat into the safety of solitude. His mind, scarred by past wounds, wavered between longing for connection and recoiling from the perceived threat of further pain. The echoes of his past trauma reverberated through his present, threatening to sabotage the relationships he so desperately yearned for. How could he believe in the authenticity of love when his experiences had taught him otherwise? Ethan's allies, those who had offered glimpses of understanding and acceptance, recognized the internal struggle etched upon his face. They too had traversed their own journeys of healing and understood the fragile nature of trust. With patience and compassion, they extended a steady hand, reassuring him that they would be there as he navigated the stormy seas of his emotions. In the face of his battles, Ethan discovered the power of open communication and honest dialogue. He shared his fears, allowing vulnerability to forge connections deeper than surface-level pleasantries. In these moments of truth, he witnessed the transformative potential of trust, how it could bridge the divide between isolation and genuine connection. But the path toward trust was not without setbacks. Old wounds were easily triggered, casting shadows of doubt upon his newfound relationships. Moments of vulnerability were met with an internal clash of hope and skepticism, as his mind warred between the yearning for connection and the instinct to protect his heart. Yet with each act of trust, each tentative step forward, Ethan realized that the past did not have to dictate his future. He began to rewrite his narrative, challenging the belief that love was inherently deceptive or fleeting. He learned to temper his skepticism with discernment, seeking genuine connections rooted in empathy, respect, and mutual growth. Chapter 7. Shadows of the Past. For Ethan, trust had become a fragile and elusive creature, skittish and hesitant to emerge from the shadows of his past. As he attempted to form healthy relationships, he confronted internal battles riddled with fear, doubt, and the ingrained belief that love was transient or deceptive. The fragility of his newfound connections weighed heavily on his heart, casting shadows of uncertainty over his every interaction. With each step toward vulnerability, Ethan's pulse quickened, a symphony of doubts crescendoing within him. Fear whispered insidious narratives, convincing him that betrayal lurked around every corner, waiting to shatter the fragile trust he had begun to build. Doubt tugged at the edges of his consciousness, tempting him to retreat into the safety of solitude. His mind, scarred by past wounds, wavered between longing for connection and recoiling from the perceived threat of further pain. The echoes of his past trauma reverberated through his present, threatening to sabotage the relationships he so desperately yearned for. How could he believe in the authenticity of love when his experiences had taught him otherwise? Ethan's allies, those who had offered glimpses of understanding and acceptance, recognized the internal struggle etched upon his face. They too had traversed their own journeys of healing and understood the fragile nature of trust. With patience and compassion, they extended a steady hand, reassuring him that they would be there as he navigated the stormy seas of his emotions. In the face of his battles, Ethan discovered the power of open communication and honest dialogue. He shared his fears, allowing vulnerability to forge connections deeper than surface-level pleasantries. In these moments of truth, he witnessed the transformative potential of trust, how it could bridge the divide between isolation and genuine connection. But the path toward trust was not without setbacks. Old wounds were easily triggered, casting shadows of doubt upon his newfound relationships. Moments of vulnerability were met with an internal clash of hope and skepticism, as his mind warred between the yearning for connection and the instinct to protect his heart. Yet with each act of trust, each tentative step forward, Ethan realized that the past did not have to dictate his future. He began to rewrite his narrative, challenging the belief that love was inherently deceptive or fleeting. He learned to temper his skepticism with discernment, seeking genuine connections rooted in empathy, respect, and mutual growth. Chapter 9. Shadows of the Past. In a pivotal moment on his journey, Ethan summoned the courage to confront the lingering ghosts of his past. With unwavering determination, he faced the shadows that had haunted him, acknowledging the depth of their hold on his present. This cathartic release unleashed a torrent of emotions as he finally began to process his childhood trauma, revealing its true nature and the profound impact it had on his life. With every step forward, the weight of his past grew lighter, shedding the oppressive cloak of shame and silence that had concealed his pain. The courage to face his ghosts emboldened him, and he stood tall, no longer defined by his traumatic experiences. As he embraced the truth of his journey, a newfound strength surged through his veins, empowering him to rise above the shadows that had ensnared him for far too long. The process of acknowledging and processing his childhood trauma was not without its challenges. Waves of anger, grief, and sorrow crashed against the shores of his consciousness, threatening to overwhelm him. Yet, with the support of his allies and the tools he had acquired on his path to healing, he weathered the storm. Through tears shed and words spoken, Ethan reclaimed the power stolen from him in his youth. He discovered that the ghosts that haunted him were not invincible, but rather remnants of a painful past that could be understood and released. As he stared into the face of his trauma, he realized that its power lay in the silence and secrecy surrounding it, and by shining a light upon it, he diminished its grip on his present. In the process of confronting his past, Ethan unearthed a reservoir of resilience he never knew he possessed. He recognized the strength it took to face his pain head-on, to explore the depths of his emotions, and to rebuild his shattered self. Through this transformative experience, he realized that his identity was not defined solely by his trauma, but by his ability to transcend it. With the ghosts tamed and their power diminished, Ethan emerged from the crucible of his past as a beacon of resilience. The healing journey had taught him the value of his own voice and the importance of breaking free from the chains that bound him. He stepped forward, not as a victim, but as a survivor, an embodiment of hope and possibility. Chapter 10. Shadows of the Past. As Ethan's journey of self-discovery and healing reached its climax, an unexpected and poignant ending unfolded, one that defied expectations and celebrated the resilience of the human spirit. Through his unwavering commitment to self-knowledge, he arrived at a place of profound self-acceptance, renewed hope, and the capacity to form appreciative relationships. Beneath the surface of his scars, Ethan discovered a treasure trove of resilience and strength. The weight of his past no longer defined him, but rather served as a testament to his capacity for growth and transformation. He had embraced the fragments of his history and pieced them together, creating a mosaic of understanding that illuminated his path forward. With self-acceptance as his guiding light, Ethan forged meaningful connections rooted in genuine appreciation. He recognized that the wounds of his past did not render him broken, but made him uniquely empathetic and compassionate. The lessons he had learned on his journey allowed him to extend grace to others and to celebrate the beauty in every soul he encountered. Renewed hope flourished within Ethan's heart, like a delicate blossom emerging from the cracks of adversity. He understood that his future was not constrained by the ghosts of his past, but shaped by the choices he made in the present. He discovered that genuine love and connection were not only attainable, but also within his grasp, as he cultivated relationships built upon mutual respect, understanding, and shared growth. In this unexpected and poignant ending, readers would be reminded of the transformative power of self-knowledge and resilience. They would witness Ethan's triumph over the ghosts of his past, celebrating his journey from brokenness to wholeness. Through his story, they would find inspiration to embark on their own path of self-discovery, knowing that beneath the surface of their own scars lies the potential for profound healing and the capacity to forge a future defined by love, connection, and hope. About the author. I am John Paul McCrary, a digital doctor and empathetic helper. Greetings, dear reader. I am John Paul McCrary, and I am thrilled to share a glimpse into my journey as a digital doctor and an empathetic helper. With a passion for problem solving in the digital realm, I dedicate myself to assisting individuals in overcoming challenges related to technology, whether it's troubleshooting iPhone issues or resolving computer problems. As a highly skilled and experienced professional, I possess the expertise to tackle a wide range of computer issues effectively. Beyond my technical prowess, I have a deep-rooted interest in self-help and supporting others. Throughout my life, I encountered difficulties with verbal communication, which often led to mistreatment and misunderstandings from others. However, I persevered and worked diligently to develop exceptional speaking abilities and a keen understanding of people's emotions and thoughts. This unique journey has given me the capacity to connect with individuals in a way that transcends traditional communication barriers. Leveraging my gift of empathy, I wholeheartedly devote myself to making a positive impact on the world. I firmly believe in using my technical skills and empathetic nature to assist others, whether it's through resolving complex technical problems or offering guidance and support in personal growth journeys. My goal is to be a beacon of assistance and inspiration, helping individuals, organizations, and communities thrive. Join me on this transformative journey as we navigate the intricacies of technology, explore the depths of personal development, and foster meaningful connections. Together, let us harness the power of digital solutions while embracing empathy and understanding to create a world where both technological proficiency and emotional well-being coexist harmoniously. Thank you for allowing me to share a part of my story, and I'm excited to embark on this journey with you.